Hey friends, welcome to the channel. My name is Sachit Sagar. I am an EFL University Indian and World Literatures postgraduate. In this video, I will talk to you about overthinking. I'm quite sure that most of us resonate with this topic. I know how it feels and I have been through this too. Call it obsessing, brooding, wallowing, or the official term rumination. These are all one and the same. Rumination is thinking and thinking and thinking about something upsetting without actually taking any action. I promise I will connect the dots as to why it is called rumination. Animals like cows, sheep, goat belong to a suborder called ruminantia. These multi-stomached ruminants regurgitate their partially digested food and chew it again and again. Likewise, ruminators or overthinkers chew on their thoughts again and again. It is very different but essentially the same concept. But you may ask, what is so bad about overthinking or rumination? Rumination makes people think that they are working on a solution, but not only does rumination not produce any solution, it aggravates the problem. All that thinking takes up time and energy, which the individual could rather spend on fixing their problem. Not only that, overthinking has been found to impair problem solving skills, which is why ruminators take less action on a possible solution. It makes them more pessimistic about the future and pretty much guarantees a bad mood. In fact, those who ruminate develop depression at 4 times the rate of those who don't ruminate. It's like a hamster running frantically on a wheel, exhausting itself without actually going anywhere. How can you tell if you are overthinking? Trait number 1, it's repetitive. Like our bovine friend, ruminators chew on their thoughts again and again. Not only can ruminators not let go, they also examine a problem from every angle. Like, why did this happen? Why did she say that? Am I stupid? Why did I do that? That wasn't fair. What does this mean? And the list goes on. Trait number 2, it's passive. Ruminators say they overthink in order to solve a problem. But instead, studies have found that ruminators or overthinkers aren't particularly effective at coming up with any type of solution. Plus, even if there is a good solution available to them, it is very difficult for them to summon the motivation to carry the task out. Trait number 3, rumination is always about the past, not the future. This is actually how rumination or overthinking differs from worrying. Rumination is like, if I only had done this, or how could I have been so stupid. On the other hand, worrying is always about the future. Like, what if Y happens? What if I fail the test? Or I don't think I will be able to handle this in the future. These are all examples of worrying. There are actually many scientific ways to minimize overthinking or rumination. So the tip number 1 is to give up regret. Everyone does stupid things that they regret. I for one do them daily. So even if you see your life going downward, just take a big sigh and say, okay, that happened, and then move on. I know it sounds cliche, but rather than focusing on what could have been, focus on what could be. Tip number 2, distract yourself. The late great Dr. Susan Nolan Hoeksema was the queen of rumination research. She explained that the gender gap in depression was due not to biology, gender roles, or Freudian theory, but it was trimmed down to overthinking. Let me back up and give up some context. Rumination affects both gender the same way. Again, both men and women ruminate in the same rate. Again, both men and women who ruminate or overthink develop depression at 4 times the rate of non-ruminators. However, women are 70% more likely to develop depression over the course of a lifetime. Why? It turns out that overall, women are more likely to be overthinkers. They are more likely to get stuck in their bad moods and to dwell on what happened, why it happened, and how it happened. By contrast, men again tend to be fixers. And even if the solution isn't that effective, they just watch TV, go for a drive, or maybe play football. When men are faced with a problem, they tend to do something which distracts them and changes their mood. Of course, these are utter generalizations. There are many men who overthink and many women who don't. But overall, women ruminate more and make their mood worse, while men distract and tend to make their moods better. So how to use distraction effectively, you may ask? Luckily, distraction doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to go on a big trip or engage in expensive shopping. Even little nonsensical things like visualizing or imagining something that you like works. Yes, it works. Which brings us to tip number 3. Shrink the time and space available to overthink. There is an urban legend that Japanese carp or koi will grow as big as the space you give them. Put them in a little tank and they will remain just a few inches long. Put them in a pond and they will grow as big as the pond is. So take distracting yourself one step further, no matter how silly it sounds. Keep yourself busy that are meaningful to you. Think twice before turning down a social party. You can go work out or sign up for that yoga class that you have been avoiding for 6 months. Of course, don't ever set yourself up for exhaustion, but shrink the space allowed for overthinking. And I hope your overthinking will stay manageably pea-sized. Tip number 4, do something a little bit hard. Accomplishing something that's a little bit hard but still within your reach is what's called mastery, or simply the belief in yourself to get something accomplished. Lack of mastery along with lack of confidence is often a big barrier for overthinkers who frequently have good intentions but just can't seem to make their ideas happen. A ruminator or overthinker might really want to switch careers, let go of that old grudge, or finally move out of the city they're currently living in. But without confidence, it won't happen, no matter how hard they try. Therefore, it is best to do something that is a little bit hard, like going on a trek or investing in the stock market, which is really hard, I must say, or learning a new skill like learning to play guitar or a new musical instrument. So with practice, you can leave rumination to the cows. I know all these tips are there in every article, or you can find them with a little Google search. But the biggest step that worked for me is a quote that I recently read from a book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, written by a chap called Charlie Maxey. So the story goes like this. The horse and the boy are in the deep woods. Nothing is visible because it's very dense. So the boy says to the horse, "I can't see a way through." Then the horse says, "Can you see your next step?" The boy stops for a second and says, "Yeah." The horse then says something beautiful that changed my thinking. The horse says, "Then just take that." From this, I learned that all the time we look at the goal, we look at the future, the past, we look at how long the journey is, and we always feel overwhelmed and exhausted. Instead of that, say to yourself, "I'm not going to worry or overthink, because with each step, I'm only going to get closer to that. So I don't need to worry about how far away it is. All I need to focus on right now is my next step." So that is all in this video. I hope you like this video. If you find any value in this video, consider liking and subscribing this channel.